Plastic is everywhere, and while we often see it in large, visible forms, there's a hidden danger lurking that's almost invisible to the naked eye: microplastics. These tiny particles are silently infiltrating our ecosystems, harming wildlife, and ultimately impacting us. Let's dive into how microplastics are threatening our planet. What are microplastics? Microplastics are small plastic particles that measure less than 5 millimeters in size, often too tiny to be seen without a microscope. They originate from the breakdown of larger plastic items, such as bottles, bags, and packaging, which degrade into smaller pieces over time. Additionally, microplastics can come from products like synthetic fibers from clothing, cleaning products, and personal care items that contain microbeads. Though they may appear insignificant due to their size, microplastics pose a serious threat to the environment, infiltrating ecosystems and posing risks to wildlife and even humans through the food chain. How microplastics are entering our ecosystems. Microplastics enter ecosystems through various pathways, making them a pervasive environmental issue. The primary source of microplastics is the breakdown of larger plastic debris, such as bottles, bags, and fishing nets. Over time, exposure to sunlight, waves, and weathering causes these larger plastics to fragment into smaller pieces, eventually becoming microplastics. These particles can be carried across vast distances by ocean currents, wind, and rainfall. In addition to the breakdown of large plastic items, microplastics are also produced intentionally for use in products like cosmetics, toothpaste, and cleaning agents. These microbeads, when washed down the drain, pass through sewage systems and end up in rivers, lakes, and oceans. Urban runoff from roads and landfills contributes to the spread as well, with tire wear, synthetic clothing fibers, and other plastic waste being swept into waterways during rainfall. Impact on marine life. Marine life is one of the most heavily impacted by microplastics. As these tiny particles drift through oceans and seas, they are often ingested by marine organisms, from the smallest plankton to the largest whales. For creatures like fish, sea turtles, and seabirds, microplastics are mistaken for food. Ingesting these particles can cause a range of harmful effects, from physical harm to internal organs to poisoning from toxic chemicals carried by plastics. Studies have found that microplastics can obstruct digestion, lead to malnutrition, and even cause death in extreme cases. The toxic substances that bind to plastic particles can also enter the food web, further contaminating marine life. These plastics accumulate in the environment, disrupting habitats and threatening biodiversity, making it a critical issue for ocean health. Microplastics in our food chain. The issue of microplastics is not confined to the oceans or marine life. It's making its way into our food chain. When fish and other seafood ingest microplastics, these particles can end up on our plates. Studies have found microplastics in popular seafood like fish, shellfish, and crustaceans, as well as in other food products such as honey, salt, and even bottled water. As microplastics are consumed by humans, their long-term health effects remain uncertain, but are potentially harmful. The presence of these particles in the human body could pose risks related to chemical toxicity, hormonal disruption, and even cancer. With microplastics found in air, soil, and water, they're likely infiltrating various aspects of human life in ways that are still being studied. As researchers continue to analyze these risks, the challenge of understanding and mitigating the presence of microplastics in our food and environment grows ever more urgent. The way forward: how we can combat microplastics. Combating the issue of microplastics requires a multifaceted approach involving individual actions, industry changes, and government policies. On a personal level, reducing our use of single-use plastics, opting for natural fibers, and properly recycling can help curb the flow of plastics into the environment. Supporting businesses that prioritize sustainable practices, such as eco-friendly packaging and products made from biodegradable materials, also contributes to long-term solutions. Additionally, widespread education on the harmful effects of microplastics can empower consumers to make more informed choices. Microplastics may be invisible, but their impact is far from it. We all have a role to play in reducing plastic waste and protecting our ecosystems. Together, we can make a difference. If you learned something new today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more environmental insights.